Well, hey there, people.
Hey,
I'm Harry.
and I'm Richard.
You're watching Dead Decks.
I guess. Yeah, buddy. All right, buddy. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, you turned this on, I suppose.
Why?
If you're in the background, somebody else is watching it. We're sorry.
It's getting to be late night here in Abu Dhabi shooting times. So we're with us.
It's always always late in Abu Dhabi. We have weird geography that way.
Anyway, let's get to the point. What the fuck are we talking about today?
We're talking about some magazines.
Magazines.
We're going to start doing this because I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
And I think you'll think it's interesting. If you don't, well, I guess we'll figure that out.
We don't mind entertaining ourselves, I promise you.
Yeah, so we're going to do a review on a single issue where we're going to read it word for word, cover to cover.
Yep, so buckle in, strap in. Next 3 hours are going to be exhilarating.
No, I'm not reading it to you. No.
Oh, God damn it.
What we've done is we went through and captured anything related to CCGs, which in the case of Gamer is very dedicated. That's what it is. It's a CCG magazine only. So there was a lot of content in here. There was a pretty stupid ass checklist section or price guide, rather.
Yeah.
It was mostly checklists because a lot of them had placeholders that said, "Yeah, not available. We don't even know."
Yeah, and there's more than one game in there I saw that every price was exactly the same.
Yeah.
For every single card.
Yeah, we'll do a price list and just say this shit's all a quarter.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of different rarities, chase cards. That's all a quarter.
It's all a quarter.
Who cares?
And they're probably not, they're looking to the future because they're not far off on a lot of this shit. And probably a quarter is maybe overvalued on some of it. But
Maybe they were genius, actually. They knew shit was never going to be more than all a quarter.
And then, you'll see some magic price guides in here that would make you drool if you could go back and buy them for those prices. Black Lotus is for $130, Ancestral Recalls for $30.
Yeah.
Boxes for, I think, $100 or less.
That's depressing to always look at that stuff.
That's unlimited, not alpha beta.
Yeah.
But still. What's a unlimited Black Lotus and near mint condition? $8,000 to $10,000 now.
Jesus.
So, yeah.
Well, we went through and we pulled out everything that was related, and then we did another pass and thought, what's really interesting? What's worth mentioning? So, we might even share that list at some point, especially if we build it out more of here's everything in these magazines and where to go find them at. But
yeah,
for now, we're just going to go through some of the highlights, things that are either funny or cool or whatever.
And if we don't show these in a video, we may at a later time put them on Twitter, just pictures of what we're talking about. If I remember, and I'm not too lazy, I may edit these in.
It's a lot of big ifs and shit going on in there.
Yeah. That's why I say, well, if you don't see it in the video, we'll eventually get them on Twitter for you.
Well,
because, some of this stuff is not going to be really worth putting up on the screen because the print's so small.
Yeah, and I'm just, we grabbed a quote out and we're going to tell you what it says.
Yeah.
First one that's funny, there's a section called 411 News from around the game card industry. So on page 7, they mentioned that Don Russ has a football game coming out, which I would have been Red Zone, right? Mm-hmm. Even though they don't call it by name. And then at the very end of that blurb, they say that there's been speculation that they might have a license for a Major League Baseball CCG, but they will neither confirm nor deny. That was on page 7. And on page 21, there's advertisement for top of the order, Don Russ's Baseball CCG.
With Frank Thomas. So fully licensed because they show the team name on it too, right?
Yeah, they're fully licensed. So
yep.
A few pages later, they break the suspense for you. At least they didn't leave you in it long.
And, we were talking about this off camera before we started the video. I want to think that this was just tongue-in-cheek because Donnas have been producing baseball cards since 1981, 2, I think. 81. So they already had a license for Major League Baseball. So they've been, they already probably put out 45 different sets of baseball cards that year. So to me personally, I think it's tongue-in-cheek.
I think they screwed up. I don't know.
If you have the license, you have the license. You can pretty much make whatever the fuck you want.
I don't know. The sentence at the end, it says, also acquired a license for a card game based on Major League Baseball. So, I don't know. It's different.
Now, I don't have any really idea how the licensing works between sports leagues and card companies, but I can't imagine I feel it'd be more of a blanket license you could put the teams on there because The players is a different negotiation. That's Major League Baseball Players Association.
Well, don't be a buzzkill. It's fucking funny.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I don't think most people would have even caught it. But yeah.
No.
Anyway, I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
So they also mentioned a promotion that I thought was interesting, that they actually put overpower cards in General Mills cereal boxes. Go figure. And a side panel on the start of them where you could order a starter deck on the side of the box.
The 12 UPCs.
Yeah.
I don't know how many it was.
Which I didn't look them up. I'm curious to see if those are still out there. They probably are.
I'd say they are.
Oh, and I wonder how many other CCGs did promos in cereal boxes. All these superpower ones, all the comic book shit.
Yeah, I would
have.
You know, so I would think on the more kid-friendly ones. I don't imagine seeing, Shadow Fist or Rage or something like that on the side of a box, but maybe.
Yeah. One of our favorites is in there. Playoff one-on-one hockey challenge. So they talked about how this was I might not have even said the damn issue on this thing. It was winter 95-96, by the way. They mentioned that they had been delayed on releasing this thing because NHL was talking about a potential strike at the time. Which I think they've done that more than once, haven't they? But
Sure.
But yeah, that's why that thing had been slow. But there's a lot of stuff they mentioned that is not how the game went out. Things that they changed, apparently they were discussing. One was they were going to have 2 decks, players and plays. The starters were all going to have half a hockey arena. So me and you both have one, throw them together and have a whole hockey arena. And that they were going to sell dice randomized separately. And they didn't do any of that shit. So, what you said your theory was they realized this was going to suck and probably didn't do that well.
Yeah, people were going to treat it more like a sports card game anyway, and why would they go through all the trouble to do all this extra shit when nobody's going to really buy it for what it's supposed to be for?
Yeah, the hockey ring play mat would have been kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's a shame they didn't actually do that.
Yeah, that would actually been probably pretty cool for the game, just to kind of give you a gauge on where you're at, but,
Yeah.
you don't need it.
No.
And we still think the game plays fine, so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely fun. I'm glad they didn't do the 2 decks thing. I like what they did.
Yeah.
Or every card is everything.
Yep. Every card is everything.
That's right. So, U.S. Games had a blurb in here in the same section on the 411 about Wyvern, that they had a new mechanic in the expansion set Chameleon. The reason I thought it was interesting is because they said they included a card in booster packs that explained the new mechanic. That's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
Because normally you're just going to be cold in a booster.
Blindsided, yeah.
Yep. You got some new thing that you see on here, and how the hell do you know what it is? That's pretty awesome that they included a card to explain it.
Yeah, we'll mention this a little bit later in the episode and the magazine, but they talked about the net back in 1995, 96, and of course it's not what we think of today as the internet, which we just typically call it. But yeah, stuff like that nowadays, we just you just have a website or a fucking tweet or something about it, or a forum post or something. But yeah, back in the day, they were still putting cards in booster packs to let you know.
Yep. They also mentioned U.S. Games did that they were doing a huge promo for stores that were going to run demos and how to plays. Going to give you a whole bunch of decks with the name of your store on it and all kinds of other accessories and a book on the game, and that was pretty cool. And then if you ran a tournament, they were going to send you a brass plaque and a jacket.
I didn't look up the plaque, but we did look up jacket on eBay, and there appears to be a couple for sale by one seller for $75 a pop, extra large. But really all it is just on the left chest. It just has a little embroidered wyvern symbol. And it looks really small. I mean, especially for a jacket. That's the only thing that's on it. So for $75, Now if it had a big old patch or something on the back,
big wyvern on the back,
I'd already bought both of them.
Yeah,
and we wouldn't have any chance at them at all.
We'd have a matching pair on the back.
Yeah. So I mean, if you want them, there's a couple out there, but.
Yeah, I thought that sounded really cool, but yeah, when you actually saw it,
I'm assuming that's the one. I would think.
I don't think they had multiple variations of a wyvern jacket. You can't
imagine, but the fuck do we know?
One other thing worth mentioning from this section, if you've heard of the card game Gangland, it appears to have been just released as a standalone card game. That was mentioned in here that was coming up, and it was referred to as a CCG. So I don't know whether they got confused or that was a case of that was intended to be one. But Gangland is like 1920 mobsters. That would have been a pretty cool theme for a CCG. It's a shame. As it stands, the starter game is out there. I think the cheapest you can find a seal one is $120.
For one deck?
Yeah, that's the whole game.
Oh, shit.
It's just a little box with the cards in it. Yeah, it's rare. It's
Damn.
There's a used one that says it's incomplete. I think for $55. Doesn't even have all the cards. So
Whew,
that's
man.
only 2 copies on eBay at the time we filmed this. That's just a rare ass game. And it's kind of a no-name publisher too, so it may not have had a big run.
Probably not.
This is just more of a funny thing. So they had a dagger owl from Guardians, which I do love Guardians, but I have to poke a little fun at this. I couldn't help it. The bottom of the ad says it's only going to be around for a limited time. Load up now or pay later. This is 27 years later, and based on the math, if I checked, it's selling for less than half of the MSRP. So, just for the record, that wasn't accurate. Yeah, you'll just pay half as much 27 years later. But nice way they tried to get you to run out and buy it anyway.
That's, inflation included.
Yeah, that's deflation. They deflated.
Our money's worth less, but it still costs you less, so.
This one is, it's a quote on the funny side because it really applies to us too. It was some douchebag, forgot the guy's name, I didn't want to justify writing it down. He was talking about how it's mostly young kids in this burgeoning CCG market. But then to quote, I've also seen plenty of fat hair loss guys standing around tables flicking cards at each other. Yeah, that's us, asshole. Fat hair loss card flickers. You couldn't describe us any better.
Nope.
You dick. Yeah, it's not nice. But
Yeah, I'm offended.
diversity. You need some fat hair loss guys around.
I'm going to have him canceled.
He may be dead already. It's fucking prick. It's been a long time
I'll
ago.
cancel his fucking headstone, man.
There's one. Maybe it'll show up here. Just because it's the only ad I saw for something that didn't actually release. It's the Towers in Time Greek edition. I think that one's known that they had planned that, but they actually had an advertisement for it, and that and the Highlander was both made by Thundercastle Games. It says 2 monumental expansions available. Thanksgiving '95. Yeah, a little hyperbolic, but whatever. Let's see. What else we want to go to?
I don't know.
Oh, they also advertised above Highlander here. Something we've talked about a little, or will be talking about at some point. Swordmaster system that they intended for that game to have a system.
We either talked about it in the past or we're talking about it in the future.
Yeah. Since we never know when this shit's going to release.
Yeah.
They did a few-page article with Ed Beard Jr. He's actually a long-term, pretty respected artist. He's done art for a whole bunch of different games, including Magic. Unfortunately for him, our first exposure to him was Flights of Fantasy. A.K.A. Imagine Dragons.
Imagine Dragons.
From back when Harry couldn't remember the name of the stupid shit.
Yeah. I'm still trying to forget it now.
There was a couple of... We weren't even impressed by his art, but we were open to the idea that it could have been the print quality.
And the print quality we determined was terrible.
It's awful, yeah. The color scheme's all over the place. It's dim. It's blah.
Yeah.
It's a pretty interesting article with him where my opinion went up because he said basically, yeah, I know that wasn't a great game. It's kind of tacking on a simple mechanic and using it to publish me and my students and get some art out there. So, you know what? That's fine.
Yeah, you admit it. You do what you got to do. Fuck it.
Yeah. He said something to the effect of with these big boys and these well thought out games now out there, he wouldn't have ever done it again. But since he got in early, he did it. All right.
And it gave us Fat Sean Bean, so.
Yeah. He said it got him some publicity, got him more involved in games, and was a positive experience, and, good for him. We're not going to be playing it now, but...
I would still hate the game, but...
Oh, yeah, but I'm sure...
Not to play you.
Sure, he's a lovely fellow. That's right. There's a very interesting article on Overpower, and I'm just only going to mention that it's here and kind of quote the arc. One thing that really intrigued me, neither of us are really into the superhero games, but they designed and developed this thing for 18 months. They were talking about how much back and forth there was. It was initially very complicated, and the big dogs came back and said, no, we're trying to sell this to kids. This is dudes in capes and tights. We can't have all this shit. So then they went back and stripped it all down. And went back, and the big dogs were like, this is now boring, and there's not enough to it. So then they went back and ramped it back up a little bit. So I thought that was interesting how much time they actually put into thinking that out and finally landed on a balance they like. It makes me want to check it out. They put that much work into the mechanics. And also it led me to the thought of how many games actually had 18 months of design. I bet it's damn near zero.
Yeah, especially in that time frame.
They couldn't have been.
Yeah,
especially in the 95 glut, there wasn't 18 months.
Yeah, you were dead before you ever published.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet there's a few companies that ended up in that hole too.
Never even got it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Never even heard of them because they just never made it anywhere. So they didn't have an advertising budget, so you didn't see them in a magazine. So
there's times in my life where I was dead before I ever even got it out there. Shit happens. There's an article. I'm trying to go quicker. 15 minutes in. There's an article on Chronicles that was kind of funny. They were just talking about the debate of, releasing all those reprints. Chronicles was all reprints, right? According to the article. Everything's from a previous set.
Yeah, it was mainly all from the Four Horsemen set.
And in here, of course, it's talking about that basically they're all powerful cards, which Harry has made clear to me and showed me prices now that no, in this market, they're no longer powerful.
Yeah, there are 4 cards in Chronicles that are $10 or higher.
Yeah, you could set chase that for it's not be that big of a deal.
No, yes, it wasn't a huge set anyway.
Yeah.
And it was the start of the talk about the reserve list because people were upset that a lot of these cards have been reprinted, and they would fear they would drive down prices of the original cards, and it did for a long time. And a lot of the cards were severely suppressed, and they've only now in the past 5 years started to spike back up because their original reprints were black bordered, so there was that, and much rarer than the Chronicles versions, which Chronicle versions aren't worth anything. You get down below, Ashnod's Altar is the lowest card over $10. The next one's $3, and it's Nico Bolas. And I think that's a Legends card probably. That's probably $150, $200, $300 card in Legends. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, for a long time, those cards were, $10, $12, $15, even in Legends and stuff, because Chronicles ruined it.
Yep.
And overall, and that's the problem with Magic at the time is they made these sets and even reprint sets like Chronicles that weren't any good. They had a long stretch of garbage. 4th edition, Ice Age, Fallen Empires, Chronicles, Homelands. That's where most people got into Magic. That's when it really took off, and those were some of the worst sets ever made. By power level, compared to before it and after it.
Yeah, but I mean, this article really picked and chose different people to interview and get blurbs from. But basically, the consensus was it's good for gamers, not good for speculators, but let's keep it up. I mean, that was their thoughts. Reprint them.
Yeah, and the modern way, that's what Magic does. They reprint most everything, and usually several times in pretty short amount of time. So it keeps prices on a lot of stuff down.
Yeah.
Depends on how you feel about all that.
Yeah, I think it's kind of an oversimplified perspective because, how much do speculators keep markets going? They certainly help keep games going.
Yeah. Especially when you talk about older stuff and newer stuff. I don't know. There's many speculators at all in those kind of markets.
I don't know.
It's mainly players, I believe.
Yeah, it's hard to call. But yeah, I certainly don't know if I'd be as dismissive as to say just reprint everything all the time and keep cards super cheap and that's good for the game. I'm not sure it isn't.
Rudy mentions this quite a bit. Do you want to buy cards that next month they're gonna be worth fucking nothing? You spend $100 on a box and they're worth. You open it up and then next month they're worth $5 for your top card. I mean,
yeah, and
what fun is that?
Isn't the model behind stores to buy things and sell them higher? So aren't they all speculators at some point? Yeah. How can you buy these if it's not from a speculator?
Yeah, and you expect your commons to be worth nothing, but I would think you'd want your good rares. No, there's trash rares. We all know that, but you want your good rares to maintain their value. I would think.
Yep.
Yeah. Whatever.
Well, shit, we've running forever. We'll try to hit a couple more things real quick. Because damn it, I had more thought was interesting. This is the one gaming on the net. That's just funny. They actually explain what email is. In parentheses, after they say email, they say electronic mail.
Yeah.
They talk about what a distribution list is and how amazing that technology is. You can get mass communications from people. And one of the quotes in here was funny. Provided a person uses common sense, the internet can be a positive experience.
It still really holds true today, but man, you got to be a little more discerning, I think.
Yeah, and you
Say the fuck off Twitter, but follow us on Twitter.
should probably also tack on and are aware of the safest porn sites.
Yeah.
Then you can turn
Hey,
the internet.
don't get to the malware nasty porn sites.
Just go to Google and put in porn. Don't do that. Yeah, learn what the hell you're doing, man.
Let's use Reddit.
Yeah, there's a little blurb on Robin Laws. There's a designer I wasn't aware of, so we're not going to look him up some. He did Shadow Fist and On the Edge, which we're both intrigued by and want to see more of. Mm-hmm. There's a big section, a whole bunch of blurbs on a gaming guide. A bunch of little short paragraphs on their thoughts of various games. That's pretty good stuff. One funny thing we got to throw in, even though we're so long, no one's ever going to see this.
Yeah.
From the game we mentioned, Gangland. Best 2 sentences I've ever seen at the top of an ad. Are you tired of tapping your dragon whelp? Are your fireballs just about channeled out? Well, look out, because this ain't no board game, and then it's Gangland. That's freaking great.
P-O-R-E-D game.
Yep. I love that. Love those first 2 lines.
Yeah.
And no, my fireballs were never channeled out.
And I really would like to see an actual CCG around gangsters.
That'd be pretty cool, yeah. There was another one that was at least planned to come out that I don't think ever hit market.
Yeah, I'd like to see like a Boardwalk Empire CCG or something.
Yeah, that'd be very cool.
Yep.
And just to give this dude kudos from Redemption, I wanted to mention there's an article talking about the future and what's ahead for the CCG industry. So they were talking to the guy from Redemption. I was hoping I'd see his name real quick. But damn it, I just lost it. Ferguson, maybe. I don't know. But he said
Ferguson?
Yeah. 96 was going to shake out all of these damn companies. All these card games trying to compete with Magic. Thought Redemption would make it because they went in a different market. They didn't shove on the same shelves. And the Glut of 95 are all going to die by 96. And he's damn near spot on.
Yeah, Redemption went, they're a Christian game anyway, churchy kind of game. So they went to the Christian bookstore kind of market and dominated that because they knew they couldn't compete with Magic and nobody else could either. And guess what? They're still selling Redemption today. They're still making new sets of that shit. So
we've touched it a little bit and talked about it. It's not a dead card game.
No.
So
it's 27 years old. It's been around as long as Magic has, basically. So.
Yep. Well, that was it. In general, I mean, yeah, this is a really good one because this is cover to cover. Everything in it's CCG stuff. So these are a little bit harder to find, but they're not crazy. You can pick up a couple issues if you pay attention.
And if you like the old dead stuff, just about any of these you pick up from this time frame is going to have something cool and unusual and weird and awesome about what is now dead card games. They weren't at the time. Hell, a lot of these games hadn't even come out yet.
Yeah.
I was just talking about, what they're going to be or, whatever. So it's nice taking a trip down memory lane on a lot of stuff. And if you pick them up, you'll enjoy it. And truthfully, a lot of this stuff is kind of hard to find on the internet nowadays. A lot of this stuff wasn't archived well. And it was
the net.
Yeah, it was just the net back then. There was no enter.
They actually quote some random douchebag from AOL in here in this net section. I got it from a forum or something.
Yeah.
Anyway. So. All right. Shit, how we do?
Oh, good enough.
Long enough. Yeah, buddy. That's what she said.